Gerald's fist hit the table. Coffee splashed across Amos's report, brown liquid bleeding through 12 pages of data. This meeting is over. Amos didn't move. His hands stayed flat on the table. Around him, 5 executives stared like he'd just threatened their jobs. Gerald stood, buttoned his jacket, walked out. The door didn't just close, it locked. Amos heard the click. This is Unfiltered Black Tales, stories where assumptions cost people everything. Nobody spoke. Christy Walker, the regional director, gripped her pen so hard her knuckles went white. She looked at Amos once, just once, then down at her notebook. The room emptied in silence. Amos sat alone, his coffee-stained report still on the table. 12 pages, 3 weeks of work. Data that showed Gerald's new AI hiring system would fail, would harm people, would ruin lives. Gerald had looked at it for maybe 30 seconds. Outside the window, the city moved like nothing had happened. Cars, people, life continuing while Amos's chest felt like it was caving in. He'd been the only one who objected, the only one who'd asked them to wait, the only black man in the room, and they hadn't heard a single word. Amos's hand shook as he packed his laptop, just slightly, enough that he had to stop and breathe. 6 years at this company, senior data analyst, the person they called when numbers didn't make sense, until the numbers said something they didn't want to hear. He walked past Gerald's office. The door was open. Gerald was on the phone, laughing. Actually laughing. Amos's jaw tightened. He kept walking. His daughter had asked that morning, "Daddy, why do you look sad?" He'd lied, said he was tired. Now sitting in his car in the parking garage, he stared at his phone, wanted to call his wife, tell her what happened. But his throat felt too tight, his hands too heavy. He started the car, drove home, said nothing. The AI system launched on a Tuesday, company-wide email, champagne in the break room. Gerald's face on the internal newsletter, leading the future of fair hiring. The break room smelled like expensive cologne and celebration. Amos walked past without stopping. He stayed at his desk, opened the dashboard anyway, watched the algorithm process applications in real time. Hundreds of resumes, filtered, sorted, approved or rejected in milliseconds. He saw the pattern immediately. Certain names, certain zip codes, certain schools. Rejected, rejected, rejected. Same as his test data. Worse, actually. His mouth tasted like copper, like he'd bitten his tongue. He drafted an email to Gerald, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Wrote 3 sentences. Deleted them. Wrote 5 more. Deleted those too. His cursor hovered over send for 8 full minutes. He could see his reflection in the black screen of his phone. Tired. Alone. He deleted the email. What was the point? Week 2. Amos noticed his name had been removed from the project credits. Just gone. Like he'd never worked on the preliminary analysis. Never built the original data models. He found his parking spot taken, a new hire's Mercedes in his space. Security said there'd been a reassignment. Nobody told him. His desk got moved, not to another office, to a corner, near the copy machine. The noise, constant, relentless. Nobody mentioned it. Nobody asked if he was okay. Gerald presented metrics at the leadership meeting. Efficiency up 340%. Time to hire cut in half. This is the future. Amos wasn't invited. He read the summary in his inbox. Christy had forwarded it with no message, just the document. He stared at his screen for 10 minutes, wanted to reply, didn't know what to say. The silence felt heavier than words. Week 3. Amos overheard 2 colleagues in the break room. Young guys, marketing team. Did you hear about the data guy who tried to tank the AI launch? Yeah. What was his problem? Laughter. Amos stood in the hallway. Listened. His coffee cup trembled in his hand. He walked away before they saw him. Week 4. Amos's phone buzzed during lunch. A link. No message. Unknown number. He clicked it. His hands went cold. Tech company's hiring algorithm raises questions. Local news. Business section. They'd interviewed rejected applicants. 12 of them. Showed their resumes, their qualifications, their zip codes. The pattern was undeniable. Amos read it twice, then a third time, then a fourth. His chest wouldn't stop tightening. The article mentioned the company by name. By noon, his inbox had 47 news alerts. By 2 p.m., the company's name was trending on 3 platforms. By 5 p.m., Gerald's office door was closed. Blinds drawn. Amos sat at his corner desk. The copy machine hummed beside him. Someone's print job. 147 pages. He couldn't move. Day 12. Stock down 6%. Day 18. Stock down 14%. Day 23. Gerald still hadn't called him. Gerald called an emergency meeting instead. Amos sat in the back row of the auditorium. Gerald stood at the podium, arms crossed, jaw tight. "This is a misunderstanding," Gerald said. His voice was steady, but his tie was loose. His eyes were red. "The algorithm is neutral, based purely on qualifications." Amos watched Christy in the front row. She'd seen his original report. She knew the truth. She said nothing. Didn't even look back. "We'll release a statement," Gerald continued. "Emphasize our commitment to fairness." His hands gripped the podium, knuckles white. For half a second, Gerald looked scared. Then the mask came back. "This will blow over," he said. It didn't. By week 6, 3 major networks were running the story. Civil rights organizations demanded investigations. Federal regulators sent letters. The company's stock dropped 18% in a single day. Amos received an email from HR at 8:47 a.m. "Please make yourself available for a meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. He read it 11 times. They were going to make him the scapegoat, the analyst who had access to the system, who could be blamed quietly while Gerald walked away clean. Amos didn't sleep that night. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling. His wife asked if he was okay. He said yes. Another lie. The HR meeting never happened. At 9 a.m., the CEO's office called an all-hands. Mandatory. Immediate. Amos stood in the back of the auditorium. The CEO's face was gray. Beside him, 2 lawyers in dark suits. Behind them, the PR team, looking like they'd aged 10 years overnight. "Effective immediately," the CEO said, voice barely carrying. "We are suspending the AI hiring system." Silence. Complete silence. "We are launching a full internal review. We take these allegations seriously." Someone coughed. The sound echoed. Additionally, the CEO continued, and for the first time he looked directly at the back of the room. At Amos. "Gerald Smith is no longer with the company." Amos felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, no vindication. Just emptiness. 4,000 applications had been processed, 60% rejected, lives disrupted, opportunities stolen, because Gerald wanted efficiency, because Christy stayed silent, because Amos's warning hadn't been enough. Christy found him in the hallway after. She didn't speak at first, just stood there, hands in her pockets, eyes on the floor. "You tried to tell us," she finally said. Amos looked at her. Really looked. She'd lost weight. Dark circles under her eyes. "Yeah," he said. "I should have listened." "Yeah." Christy's jaw tightened. Her hands came out of her pockets, then went back in. "I'm sorry." The apology felt thin, useless, like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. "What happens now?" Amos asked. "Review. Lawsuits. Probably more press." She exhaled slowly. "They want you to lead the audit team, rebuild the system properly, if you're willing." Amos stared at the floor. Part of him wanted to walk away, let them drown in the mess they'd created. But the people hurt by that algorithm, they deserved better. "I'll think about it," he said. 3 months later, Amos stood in front of the new board. New CEO, new leadership team. Christy still there, quieter than before. Different. The new system is ready, Amos said. Transparent, auditable, human oversight at every stage. It won't be as fast, but it'll be fair. The new CEO nodded. Implement it. No champagne, no celebration, no newsletter, just work. 6 months later, Amos saw Gerald. By accident. Coffee shop downtown. Gerald was alone at a corner table. He looked smaller somehow, older. His suit didn't fit quite right anymore. Their eyes met. Gerald opened his mouth. Like he might say something. Like he'd been rehearsing an apology for months. Amos looked away. Ordered his coffee, left. There was nothing Gerald could say that would matter now. A year later, the company settled the lawsuits, millions in compensation, public apology, new training programs, congressional testimony. Amos's audit system became the industry standard. Christy knocked on his office door one afternoon. She'd been different since everything fell apart. More careful, more willing to wait, more willing to listen. The board approved your promotion, she said. Director of Ethical AI, if you want it. Amos didn't answer right away. He looked at the photo on his desk. His daughter, 8 years old. Gap-toothed smile. She'd asked him once, "Daddy, why do you look sad at work?" He'd said, "Because sometimes people don't listen." She'd said, "Then make them listen louder." He picked up the photo, studied her face. "I'll take it," he said. Christy nodded, almost smiled, started to leave, stopped. "I should have listened," she said, "the first time." Amos met her eyes. "Yeah, you should have." She left. Amos sat alone in his office. The city moved outside his window, thousands of people making thousands of decisions, thousands of chances to get it right, or wrong. Late nights now, Amos reviewed every system before launch. Read every line of code, checked every data point, asked the questions nobody else wanted to ask. Someone had to. And if they didn't listen the first time, he'd make them listen the second, the third, however many times it took. His daughter's photo watched him work. He thought about that conference room sometimes. The door locking, the silence, Gerald's fist on the table, coffee bleeding through his report, the people whose resumes never got past the algorithm, the damage that couldn't be undone. He'd tried to stop it, wasn't enough, but he'd rebuilt it, and that had to count for something. He opened his laptop, got back to work. If this story meant something to you, subscribe and turn on notifications for more.